All right, so we're in week 12, which is crazy. We only have 2 more classes after today. And like I was mentioning in the beginning, these next 3 weeks are going to be really crucial that we're paying attention and that we're engaged with the course material, because we're going to start talking about higher education and what your actual educational goal is. Last week, we talked about setting goals and how to set goals. We also did some career exploration. And of course, right when I start talking, we have a student. Give me one moment. And so the career exploration assignment was to start having you think about, oh, what are some careers that maybe my interest could be reflected in? Some of you, liked the careers that came up. Some of you weren't sure. And that's all part of the process, right? Is learning and researching about what is available, what's out there, what can you work towards, and then trying to narrow down your goal. So the goals that you set in this class and the majors and careers you explore, you may or may not go towards. It's all part of the process. You'll continue to do career and major exploration as you continue your journey in higher education. Let me let one more student in. So today what we're going to talk about is what types of different educational goals there are out there that you can reach for in higher education. So we're going to be talking about all the different paths in higher education. And then from there, this week's assignment is going to be researching a major, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the class. And it's all going to be leading up to your student educational plan, which we're going to start working on together in class next week, but you're also going to be needing to work on it on your own. It's not a difficult assignment, but there are many components and details. So you want to make sure that you're asking me questions and asking questions in class, emailing me if you have questions. And so we're going to be working on that for the next 2 classes. And then you're going to be done. And that's your final big project, is 100 points. And it's really about showing you whether you're going directly to a 4-year university, or you're going to go to community college first and then transfer, or you're just going to community college. It's showing you how to create an educational plan that's going to fit all the requirements that you need to complete your goal. So we're going to be learning about the different types of classes you need to take to get either a bachelor's degree or associate's degree, and so forth. So today we're first going to start out with the introduction to higher education. So I'm going to go through the lecture today, and then we're going to review the week 12 module and go over the assignments. And like I mentioned, really important to attend and participate in this class and the next 2 classes, because we will be working on your final project. So when thinking about higher education, there's lots of different options you can go towards. Like I said, you could go directly to a 4-year university from high school. You could go to a community college first. Within the world of higher education, there's private universities, public universities, there's public and private within California, there's out-of-state universities, there's international universities that you can attend being an American student. So let's talk about, when you're at a community college level, the different types of paths you can take. You can either get a certificate. A certificate is a series of specialized courses. It's mostly related if you're already in a certain job and they're asking for a certificate so that you can advance, or you need it for an entry-level job. So it's things like cosmetology, maybe early childhood education, but a certificate is a little bit limited in what it's going to help you in the long run. So I would only recommend a certificate if you're already in a job that's asking for some kind of certificate, or you're going for an entry-level job. But mostly we're going to be focusing on associate degrees and bachelor's degrees. So an associate's degree is a degree that's granted by a community college, and it's combining your general education courses and major courses, and you have to have at least 60 units, and we'll talk about that. With an associate's degree, you would be eligible for some type of work. However, the higher amount of education you have, the more options you're going to have for work for most careers. Part of that project that you did last week with career exploration was to see, okay, with the certain careers that you researched, what was a level of education needed? Did you need an associate's degree? Did you need higher than that? Did you need a bachelor's degree? Or did you need a master's or a doctorate, right? So you can see in this pyramid how it kind of goes up. And like I said, typically the more education you have, the higher level of education, the more money you're going to be able to make, the more options of careers you're going to be able to apply for. A bachelor's degree, you can either go straight to a university from high school and do 4 years of your bachelor's with general education courses and major courses, and it's about 120 units, or you can go to community college, do your first 60 units or so at the community college, and then transfer into a university. Quick little pop quiz. Do you need to have an associate's degree? Do you think that you need to have an associate's degree to be able to go and then get a bachelor's degree? So I want you guys to write in the chat, yes or no. Do you need an associate's degree to then get a bachelor's degree? So I want you all to write yes or no in the chat. So I have one person that's answered. And with different answers, a couple of people have answered so far. Some of you saying yes, some of you saying no. So you actually do not need an associate's degree to transfer. But a lot of students think that you do. I'm going to talk about that some associate's degrees for transfer can help to get into a Cal State, but typically with transfer, what you're really they're looking at is your GPA, your grade point average, completion of major prep courses, which are lower division classes that you're completing at the community college for your major specific for the university, and then having 60 transferable units. So a lot of this may be foreign to you. We're going to be going over it a lot the next 3 weeks. So please, if you have any questions along the way, it's really important that you ask them, whether in the chat or in meeting yourself, because you want to understand this, because you're going to need to know this information for your student educational plan project. So once you complete your bachelor's degree at a university, whether you've transferred from a community college to a university or you've gone straight to a university, then you can go on to more advanced degrees. You could go on to get a master's degree, and then after that, you can go on to get a doctorate or a PhD. So I went straight to UC Santa Cruz. I got my bachelor's degree. And then 5 years later, I decided to go back and get my master's degree. With a master's degree, I was able to make a lot more money. I was eligible for the job that I have today and the career that I wanted, because certain careers will not even interview you if you don't have a master's degree. It's different for each career. So that career exploration, you can always go to that website if you're interested. You can go to that California Career Zone that you did your discussion from last week, and you can check in what level of education does this career need. If you're interested in something, it's really important to know that, because that's going to be a bottom line qualification. If I decided I wanted to go back to school, my next step would be going back for a doctorate degree, for either an EDD, Doctor of Education, or another doctorate degree. Any questions so far about the different paths of what you can get at community college and university? You can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Okay. So let's talk about the different kinds of higher ed institutions that are in California. There are essentially 4 types of post-secondary education in California. Like I said, there's UCs. So there's 10 UC campuses: UCLA, UC Irvine, UC Berkeley, UC Riverside, UC Merced, UC Santa Cruz, UC Santa Barbara, UC Davis, and UC, I think I said all of them. I think that was 9. So UCs are public universities in California. So are Cal State universities. They are also public universities. There's 23 different Cal States, and I'm not going to name all of them, but I will be showing a map. The UCs and Cal States are all over California, North, South, and Central California. There's, all different types of campuses. I've mentioned this, I think I've mentioned this before, but if you have the ability to, with friends or family, visit campuses that you're interested in, I highly recommend it, because each campus is different facilities, a different vibe, different energy, different environment. Some are rural, some are more urban in the city, some are a mix of beach or forest. So you really want to get a feel of what you like. And if you don't have access to that by doing a trip like that with your family or friends, community colleges have a lot of programs that I mentioned during the student resources way back when, a few, maybe like 10 weeks ago, we talked about, that will sponsor trips for students to visit different campuses. And they'll either take you on a plane or a bus to different campuses. I've worked at LA Trade Tech, and the Umoja program would take students to HBCUs, which are historically Black colleges and universities all over the US. I've had, there's other programs like Puente Project that would take students all through California looking at the Cal States and UCs. So you definitely want to take advantage of programs on campus that are going on trips. Us working in the transfer center at Trade Tech, we would also take students. We took them to UCLA and a couple other campuses. So there's 110 community colleges just in California. So with this class, I'm working through LA Mission. I also work at Santa Monica College, LA City College. There are community colleges all over California. And then there's hundreds of private universities and colleges. Some of the ones you may know that are local are USC, Loyola Marymount, Pepperdine, Mount St. Mary's University. There's a lot of different, so you have a lot of options. So some of these schools you may have heard of, some of them you may not. And that's where the research comes in. That's where it comes in meeting with your counselor advisor or going to the transfer center if you're at a community college to ask questions and do research into different universities that you're interested in. Any questions about the types of universities and colleges available in California? And if you do have one and you're typing it, I will come back to it. Okay, so let's talk about the types of degrees offered at California community colleges. So you can either get an Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, or an Associate for Transfer. So the Associate for Transfer is a transfer guarantee program between the California community colleges and the Cal State universities. If you decide to do a major that offers an Associate for Transfer, if you get that degree, which is completion of the major courses and general education courses, then you are given priority consideration to the Cal States. You are given a 0.1 GPA bump when you go to apply. You are ensured that you'll complete your bachelor's degree within 60 units at the Cal State. And then it's a backup program that if you don't get into the campus that you're interested in, it's going to be a backup, and the Cal State system will say, well, we have space for you on a campus that does have space. Again, you don't have to get an associate's degree if you're going to transfer from a community college to a university, but it is an option. So typically, if you're a full-time student, getting an associate's degree will take about 2 years. Again, as I mentioned, you're going to be doing general education courses, which are a mix of different types of courses like English, math, and then choosing from different social and behavior classes, science classes, arts and humanities. First of all, to enrich yourself, to get a broader knowledge on different disciplines, and also to help you kind of figure out what you want to study. So that's going to be general education, and we'll be talking more about that. And then major courses, which are dependent on the major. I'm not going to go through that. So here is that map that I was mentioning about the Cal State system. This is all the 23 different campuses of the CSUs. It's one of the largest, most diverse, and most affordable university systems in the country. So Cal State is a good route to go in terms of finances. Cal States and UCs vary in the types of schools they are, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. At Cal States, they offer bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctoral degrees, and some, if you need to get a credential, like a teaching credential, they offer that as well. When you go to apply for Cal States, you're applying in the fall to start in the next fall. You apply a year ahead, whether you're a high school student or a transfer student. Typically, to get a bachelor's degree, if you're full-time, the whole time will take 4 years. Some students take 5 to 6 years, depending on what's going on in your life, if you need to work, if you have family responsibilities. The UCs are all here on the map. Another affordable, distinguished university program. The UCs offer more than 200 undergraduate majors, and you'll see that different campuses have different majors. So not all college campuses offer the same majors. So that's something to take into consideration too. Also at UCs, they offer bachelor's, master's, doctoral, and professional degrees. And typically it's a 4-year program if you're going straight into the UC. So what is the difference between Cal States and UCs? So the CSUs are known for being really practical and hands-on and career-oriented, so really working on going towards a certain career. While the UCs are more focused on research and theory-based, and usually it's for students that are also thinking of pursuing a higher degree. Both are amazing institutions. Again, you want to visit. You want to research the different universities, and you want to visit the campuses. I think I've mentioned this before. When I was applying to schools, I thought I either really wanted to go to UC Santa Barbara if I was going to be in California, or a school in New York City, that private school. And I ended up visiting a bunch of different UCs that I had applied to. And when I got to UC Santa Cruz, I realized, oh, I really love this campus. It was forest, there was beach, it was beautiful. You walked through forest to get to your classes, and there was deer. And that for me, I really loved. Whereas when I visited UC Santa Barbara, I really didn't actually like the energy and vibe that was on that campus. So it's really important, because we're all unique. We're all going to like different things, to be able to visit those schools. There's lots of different independent colleges and universities in California as well. There's 74 different campuses just in California, with 125 majors. Some of them are small liberal arts schools like Occidental, which is in Eagle Rock. Some of them are research universities. Some of them are based on the arts only, say like Otis. So there's different types of private schools. And private schools can also have their own funding to fund your education. So never stop yourself thinking, oh, a private school is going to be too expensive. You always want to look into what those options are going to be. They might have other scholarships for you that perhaps a public university did not. Here is a list of all the different independent colleges and private universities in California alone. Now, there's tons all over the country, and like I said, there's also international schools, but there's lots of options of schools to apply to. Independent private schools tend to be smaller, so if you're looking for a more intimate setting of a campus, that also might be, if you want more one-on-one attention with an instructor or smaller class sizes, that could be an option for you. And again, all of these things are things for you to start researching, but also know there's resources out there. There's counselors in the transfer center that can help you look through these options. Any questions so far? We've talked about Cal States, UCs, private schools, and independent colleges. We've talked about the types of degrees that these different options provide. Any questions? So I want you all to start thinking, when we're going through this lecture, what is your educational goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Do you want to go to a community college and work for a couple of years and then transfer to a university? If so, what universities do you think you would be interested in? Do you have an idea? Do you want to get an associate's degree, or do you want to work towards a bachelor's degree, or do you want to go farther than that? Do you want to get a master's or a doctorate? So I want you guys to start thinking about that. You will be writing about it these next couple of weeks as well, what your educational goal is. There's also tons of options out of state, like I mentioned. There's private and public options, just like in California. Some popular schools that students from California might ask about might be Arizona State University, Oregon State University, but there's tons of schools. And when you apply to private schools and out-of-state schools, typically you're going to use the Common App, the Common Application to apply. So it's different. The UCs have their own application, the Cal States have their own application, and then private schools use the Common Application. Some of you might already be familiar with this because you already applied to schools if you were a senior and planning on going to college already, but some of you, this may be new to you. Any questions? So I know I went through that pretty quickly and questions might come up. What we're gonna do now is that, because I wanna help you guys get started on what you're gonna be working on this week and the coming weeks. So we're first gonna go over what's gonna be in your module this week that hopefully you all started reviewing yesterday since it opens on Monday. Okay, so we're in week 12. This week you're reading about higher education, which I just briefly discussed for a little bit. You're also going to be reviewing the different programs of study and degrees available at LA Mission College. If you are thinking you want an associate's degree or you're not sure, you want to start looking at what's available, right? And it's important to know how to navigate the catalog. If you're not sure, definitely ask me a question. You're going to be reading about transfer requirements. So again, even if you're going to a different community college, not Mission College, transfer requirements are still going to be similar. You're still going to need 60 units. You're still going to need general education and major courses. So you want to start looking at that. If some of you who are going directly to university in the fall, this is still important because once you're there, you're still going to be doing the same pattern of classes. You're going to be doing general education courses. Once you pick your major, you're going to be doing major courses, lower division in the first 2 years, and then upper division major courses in the next 2 years. And every university has a catalog. And what we're going to be learning about the next couple of weeks is how to pick courses that we need, how to figure out what we need based on our educational goal, and how to find what are those classes about, reading course descriptions. And that's all about reading the catalog as well. You're going to be doing major exploration and thinking and writing about your educational goal, and then you're going to start working on your student educational plan. So we have the learning objectives. You're going to go through this on your own, and you're going to do your reading. Here I've posted the different general education patterns that you're going to be using for your student educational plan, but also in your future, whether you're at a community college or a university. Igetc is a general education pattern that can be used for both UCs, Cal States, and some private universities. When you look at Igetc, it's going to show you the requirements that you need to complete. So if you're going to transfer from a community college to a Cal State or a UC or perhaps private school, you will need to complete these courses. This will be part of your 60 units that you're completing prior to transfer. If you're going directly to a university, you will be completing these courses as part of your general education before you can move on to your major to get your bachelor's degree. So no matter what your educational goal is, you still will always need to complete general education courses unless you're just getting a certificate. So for area 1, you will need to complete English 101. You will need 1 course from critical thinking and 1 communication studies course if you're thinking of applying to a Cal State. So it's important to read these parts in the gray because it's going to tell you exactly what you need from here. We're going to be going over this the next 2 weeks as well, but it's really important that you start looking through this to see if you understand and then asking me questions. For area 2, you'll be taking 1 math class out of these to meet your college math requirement. Now, if you choose a major that is going to include more math classes, say you want to transfer to UCLA from a community college for biochemistry. Well, I know off the bat from my experience that the major is going to need calculus 1, calculus 2, linear math, X, Y, and Z. There's about 5 math classes. So that's going to be for the major, but for the general education, you just need 1 college level math class. For arts and humanities, area 3, you'll need to choose 3 courses out of here. For area 4, social and behavioral sciences, you would need to choose 3 classes from here. For area 5, physical and biological sciences, you would need to choose 1 physical science and 1 biological science, and one of those would need a lab, and the ones that have labs are listed here in 5C. And then if you're going to a UC, you're either transferring to a UC or applying to a UC, there is a foreign language requirement that you could have either completed 2 years of a foreign language in high school with a C or higher, or if you didn't do that, or an AP English exam, AP foreign language exam with a 3 or higher, then you would need to take a foreign language up to level 2. Any questions about Igetc? This is called Igetc. Again, this is a general education pattern that you'll be using if you're going to be transferring to a UC, a Cal State, or some private schools. You also will be taking similar courses to this if you're going directly into a UC or a Cal State or a private school. We'll be talking more about this, of how to pick these courses with your student educational plan, and looking into how to pick which ones. Some of them will count also for your major, so we'll talk more about that later. The next in your module is a CSU general education pattern. So if you're a student that you know, I'm going to study nursing and I only want to apply to Cal States, then you can follow the CSU GE sheet. If you go in and you're not sure what schools you want to apply to, you always want to use Igetc, the one that we chose first, because that's going to hit a lot of marks for a lot of different schools. But if you're absolutely 100% positive that you're only going to go to a Cal State, then you would follow the Cal State GE, the CSU GE. So it's almost identical to the Igetc, except that there's a little bit more leeway. There's a little bit more option of classes that will count towards general education in terms of art classes. And there is a lifelong learning and self-development section where you need to choose 1 class from here. There's no foreign language requirement to go to a Cal State. However, you can take foreign language and it would count towards your humanities courses. So this is pretty similar to Igetc. Again, if you're not sure what your educational goal is, you want to use Igetc, which is the one that we looked at first. And then if you know for sure that you're only going to get an associate's degree, you're never going to transfer, you would use the LA Mission College general education pattern. Now, I recommend that all students keep their minds open. Like I said, the more education you have, the more options you're going to have in your life in terms of career and level of pay for your job. So I would say stick to Igetc in the beginning. Even if you think you just want to do an associate's degree, I would say keep your mind open. There's lots of options up there. College universities are amazing. You're going to meet new people, learn a lot, expand your mind, have new opportunities, be able to go study abroad and have it paid for by financial aid. There's a lot of options that go into going to a 4-year university. But if you're thinking you only want an associate's degree, then you would use this general education pattern where you would need 1 natural science, 2 social and behavioral science classes, 1 humanities, 2 language and rationality courses, and 1 health and physical science. The way that I know in these general education patterns how many I need from each one is by looking at the units. Now, we started talking about units in your evaluate your workload assessment a couple weeks ago. Typically, a class is about 3 units. Science and math classes may be 4 or 5 units. But so if this says 3 semester units, which it's going to be a semester because community college is on semester, UCs are on a quarter system. You don't have to worry about that for this project. Okay, thank you, Valeria. Sorry, I just saw that. Thank you, Valeria. Okay. So I know that, okay, I need 1 course from here because it's 3 units. Here it says 6 units, so I know I need 2 courses. 3 units, I need 1 course. 6 units, 2 courses, 3 units, 1 course. I know I'm going through this a little bit quickly, but we're going to be reviewing this a lot in the next couple of weeks. Any questions on those 3 general education patterns? I'll give you guys a couple minutes to think if you have any questions or write them in the chat. Okay, so quick little pop quiz. GE patterns. So what we just went over. If you are unsure of what your educational goal is, which general education pattern should you use? So I want everyone to go ahead and mark what you think the right answer is. If you are unsure of what your educational goal is, which general education pattern should you use? I'm going to give you guys till a minute, so we still need 13 more students to answer. I'm waiting for 7 more students. You have 10 seconds. 2 seconds. Okay, some of you didn't answer. So, unfortunately, the majority of you put LAMCGE, which is not correct. If you are unsure what your educational goal is, then you want to choose Igetc, because Igetc is going to work for UCs, Cal States, private schools, and associate degrees. Okay, if you choose just the LAMCGE, you're going to be limited to only being able to get an associate's degree. You won't be able to transfer with those general education, with that general education pattern. You won't be able to go on to get a bachelor's degree. So let's try that one more time. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds. If you are unsure what your educational goal is, which general education pattern should you use? Igetc, CSUGE, or LAMCGE? I'm going to give you guys 8 more seconds. So where are the rest of you? Where is everyone? Okay, well now half of you answered. So yes, Igetc, good job. Okay, let's go back to the module. So that's important to know because you're going to be using this for your general education, for your student educational plan project. Okay, let's talk about your discussion for the week. Can I have a volunteer to read this first part here? No volunteers. Okay.
I can read it.
Oh, thank you, Raul. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Every college student has to declare a major. This discussion is designed to help you begin to think about what your educational goals are and what major you want to pursue. This discussion will also help you complete the student educational plan, which is your last major project of the semester.
Thank you. Thank you, Raul. I appreciate it. Right. So you're going to start thinking now. And I want you all to take out a piece of paper or your notebook or a Microsoft Word document so you can start. You're going to be starting working on your discussion right now so that everyone can get this in. This is really important because you're going to be using this information for your student educational plan. So first, I want you to think about what your educational goal is. Do you want an associate's degree from LA Mission College? Do you want to transfer to a four-year university? Or do you want an associate degree for transfer, which is the CSU admission guarantee and transfer to a university? So this would be if you're thinking about a Cal State specifically. So first, write down what is your educational goal. So I'm getting you guys started on your homework. You're doing a rough draft right now so that we can go through together exactly what you need to complete for the week. Once you have written down your educational goal, or if you're still thinking about it, that's okay. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to think about it and write it down. First, part 1. What is your educational goal? Do you want a bachelor's degree from a university? We're doing this educational plan based on going from a community college to a university. If you're going straight to a university, like I said, it's going to be similar. It's going to be the same courses, just perhaps a different name because there's different titles at different colleges. So if your plan is to get a bachelor's degree and you're not sure where you want to go, then you'd be choosing transferring to a four-year university. If you think you definitely only want to go to a Cal State, you're maybe thinking I want an associate degree for transfer, you can say that. Or if you're thinking you only want an associate's degree, you don't want to go on to a four-year university, you can write that. So go ahead and take a couple minutes to write that down. And you also will want to open up your module and go to discussion 12 because we're going to be working on this. Well, maybe if we have time, maybe you don't have to do that yet. Okay, once you figure out what your educational goal is, and it's okay if you're not sure yet, you're going to have this week to think about it. And again, if you change your mind in the future, that's fine, but I want you all to start thinking about it. Part 2 of the discussion is we're going to be looking at majors. So sometimes students are unsure about what major to choose. You're often clear about what you don't want as a major. So you're going to review the list on the Elimina Major worksheet and cross out all majors that are not interesting to you. Review the remaining majors and circle your top 3 majors that you would like to research. Put them in order of interest. Number 1 would be your most interesting of the 3. Number 3 would be the least interesting. And then you're going to be choosing one major you would like to explore for your discussion. So first you're thinking, okay, what's my educational goal? Am I going to get an associate's degree or am I going to transfer? Or am I going to do both? Second is, okay, what majors interest me? So first I would download the worksheet. And first you're going to cross out everything that doesn't look interesting to you. So if it was me doing it, I know I would cross off accounting, aerospace engineering, animation, art history, and so forth. You're going to first cross out everything that you don't have interest in. Once you're done crossing out everything that you don't have interest in, you're going to go back at what you have left and you're going to circle your top, well, here it says top 5, but what I said was to do top 3. You circle your top 3, and from those top 3, pick one that you want to research and you want to learn more about. You're going to be learning about what the major is about and what types of classes you'll be needing to take for that major. Once you choose which one major you want to research, you're going to choose if you're going to get an associate's degree in that major, or you're going to transfer and you're going to choose a university that you're interested in to explore. So after you have followed all the steps above, type your answers to the following questions in your discussion post. Explain what your educational goal is and why you have chosen that educational goal. So this is from part 1. Then what is the name of the major you have chosen to explore? After you did part 2, what's the name of the major? Number 3, describe the major in your own words, not cut and paste from the website. So you're going to choose a major and you're going to, if you're choosing just an associate degree from Mission College, you're going to read about it in the catalog. If you're going to choose a university to transfer to, you're going to pick any university that interests you. and you're going to look at the major on that school's website. You're going to learn about it, and then you're going to write in your own words and describe what that major is. You're going to write down the name of the university you're interested in, unless you're looking at an associate degree from LA Mission College. And then you're going to list all required coursework for your major. So I'm going to show you the two different places that you can look for this. First, we're going to talk about transfer. If you're interested in transferring to a university from a community college or a university in general, you're going to go to assist.org. This website works for just Cal States and UCs. So for the purpose of this assignment, we're going to just use, you're going to either pick a UC or a Cal State if you're interested in transfer. If you really, really want to focus on a private school, reach out to me, and then I can help you find where that information is, because private schools are a little bit more tricky. It's not all centralized. We need to look at their specific website. So if you really want to do that, I'm happy to help you with that. Let me know. But say I say, someone give me a UC or a Cal State that we should look into. Someone put it in the chat, a UC or a Cal State. Anyone write in the chat, any UC or Cal State? Okay, thank you, Raul. Csun, he says Csun comes to mind. So Csun is Cal State Northridge. So when I'm using Assist to find out what major courses I need for my major, I'm gonna say my major is, someone give me a major that you're interested in. Let's look at this page. What's a major that interests you from this page? You can put it in the chat. Celine put journalism. Great choice, journalism. So, and someone else put biology. So let's see first. So remember that all different schools have different majors. So first, let's see, does Csun have journalism? So the way I'm going to do this is with the first institution is always a school that you're transferring from. So it's a community college. So I'm going to put in Mission College because that's what we're going to be working with, because this class is taught through Mission College. And then I'm going to put the school I'm interested in transferring to. So I'm going to put in Cal State Northridge, which is Csun. Then I'm going to click on View Agreements. Let's see if they have journalism. Yes, they do. They not only have journalism, they also have one with an option in broadcast and one with an option in public relations. Now, when a major has options, it means that you're in the umbrella of journalism, and you can do an emphasis if you want to do an emphasis in broadcast or an emphasis in public relations. For the purpose of this assignment, I'm just going to do a basic journalism. I click on the major, and then I click on View Agreement. For the purpose of this this assignment, we're looking for our lower division major prep courses. Those are the major courses we need to take at the community college level to be able to get into Csun in that major. So we're looking at the courses on the right side. So I see that they want Journalism 100, and that's the only major prep that they have articulated. So I would come back to my discussion and my list of all required coursework for the major. I would just write Journal 100, Social Values and Mass Communication, 3 units. That's what that number, so that I know how many units that class is. Again, this is all going to be used towards your student educational plan. So we're not talking about general education yet. We're just talking about major courses. Next week, we'll be talking about general education. Any questions on that, on this assignment? I'll do it one more time. Because Anaï mentioned biology, someone give me another school and we'll look at biology. Either a Cal State or a UC. Someone say a UC or Cal State that you want us to look at. UC Irvine. Thank you, Noah. Okay, so let's go back, right? So I have my community college, and now I'm going to put in UC Irvine. I'm going to click on View Agreements, and I'm going to look for the major, biology. So look, when I type in biology, all these different options come up. So this is something that I would want to, if I was interested in biology and in UC Irvine, I want to say, what are these different majors about? Oh, and I forgot to show you that part. If I want to see, okay, what is the human biology major at UC Irvine? I'm going to look up UC Irvine major human biology because I want to get the description, right? Because that's also part of the discussion. And here it's going to give me an overview of what this major is. So I'm going to read through this and then I'm going to summarize it in my own words for number 3 of the discussion. And if I want to look at what the classes I need, I'm going to click on human biology, click on view agreement. Students interested in this major should follow the required recommended course preparation for the biological sciences. So this is telling me that I actually need to go back and look at biological sciences because they haven't updated the human biology. So let's go to biological sciences. And I click on view agreement. And again, we're looking at the major prep courses and we're looking at the courses on the right side. These courses on the right side are the courses I would need to take at Mission College before transferring. The courses on the left are how those courses are titled at the university I'm looking at. So if I was at UC Irvine and I was starting as a freshman and this was my major, these are the courses I would take when I was there. But we're looking at transfer right now. So I'm going to look at the courses on the right side. So I know that I would need to write down for my discussion for the courses required for a biology major to UC Irvine. For major prep courses, I would need Biology 6, General Bio 1, 5 units, Bio 7, General Biology 2, 5 units, Chem 101 and 102, and I would write the title, General Chem 1, General Chem 2, 5 units each, Chem 211, Chem 212, writing the full name, and Physics 37 and 38. So this is an important part of seeing what it's going to take to achieve your educational goals. The more that you plan out and look at what types of courses are going to be required of you to take, the better you can plan out, is this actually something you want to do? Do these classes look interesting to you? Do you like taking all these kinds of science courses, right? So these are all things that to start looking at. So that's why we're doing this assignment, for you to start getting an idea of what maybe a major you have in mind and looking at what it would take to take those courses. And also, what is that major even about? You might have an idea of what a psychology major is, but until you do the research, you'll have a better idea. So that is for transfer, if you're thinking about transferring. Any questions about any of this for transfer? And then we'll talk about associate degrees in a second. Any question about this discussion? You can unmute yourself or write it in the chat. Okay. So say you don't want to transfer to a 4 university and you just want to get an associate's degree from LA Mission College. I would go to the LA Mission College catalog, which for these purposes, I'm actually going to look at the catalog online because sometimes it's a little easier to search through. And your reading this week, if we go back to the module, your reading for the week shows us the different associate's degrees possible at LA Mission College. So it's going to be on pages 16 through 70. So I'm going to look at page 16. I'll just scroll to. Okay, it talks about different pathways, programs of study, and then it goes through all the different associate's degrees available, including associate degrees for transfer and regular associate's degrees at LA Mission College. Someone give me a major to look at the major requirements for an associate degree at LA Mission College. Someone put a major in the chat that you're interested in. So we've looked at journalism, we looked at biology for transfer. Now we're looking at one for LA Mission College associate's degree. Anyone have, okay, Raul. Yes. Anyone have a major you want to look at? Name any major. Let's look here. Any major from this list. No one has one? All right, let's look then at what was just on the page. So let's say I wanted to get kinesiology. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Noah, for participating. Okay, so we want to look at kinesiology. So it's easiest to search the catalog by clicking Command F, and then this little search box comes up so that you can then find it. And here what comes up is an associate in arts for transfer for kinesiology, which is great because say, you know what, I want to go to a Cal State. They're known for the kinesiology programs, which they are, and I want to make sure I get into a Cal State campus. So I'm definitely going to do the associate in arts for transfer because that's going to have that transfer guarantee program. So when I'm reading this, I'm going to look at the classes that I need. It says required core. So required core means classes you absolutely have to take for the major. So I know that I need Anatomy 1, Introduction to Human Anatomy. It's 4 units. Kin Major 100, which is Introduction to Kinesiology, 3 units, and Physiology 1, Introduction to Human Physiology, 4 units. So that I absolutely need. Then it says select 3 courses, maximum 1 course from any 3 of the following. So then I have an option of choosing 3 courses from these activity classes. So I'm going to choose, say I want to do Dance TQ 121, Jazz Dance Techniques. Then I'm going to do Body Conditioning, Ken 329, and I'll do Basketball Skills, Kin 286. So I've chosen my 3. You have an option. The last part is that it says select 2 courses from here. So now I need to select 2 more from here. And this we'll talk about more next week. But looking at this, I know, oh, I can double count some of these classes as general education classes too. So I'm going to make sure to choose Math 227 because that's going to take care of my math requirement for my general education. And I'll do Bio 3 to take care of one of my sciences. You could choose any 2 courses from here, but that's what I would write then for the discussion. I would write first, let's go back to the discussion. Okay, it's not letting me, oh, okay. So I would write what kinesiology is about. I would say that I want to get the associate degree for transfer, and then my list of required courses is going to include everything that I just went through. So the 3 required core courses, 3 that I choose from here, and 2 more that I choose from here. And that would be the major prep courses needed for an associate in arts for transfer for kinesiology. It might seem confusing right now, and that's why I definitely want you to ask me questions. This is a learning process. I'm here to expose you to starting to think about what kinds of courses you'll need to take based on your educational goal. Does anyone have questions? I do have after this page the instructions for your student educational plan, which will be building off of what we just did, what you're going to do for your discussion. You'll be including those, what you do for the discussion 12 in your student ed plan. So it's really important that you do the discussion because it's going to help you with this assignment. I'm not going to go through the details of this assignment right now because I don't want to confuse you. You can read this on your own, and we are going to start on this part next week. What I do want you to start working on right now in the last few minutes of class is starting on your discussion 12. And I'm here if you have any questions. So go ahead and start doing your reading and your discussion 12. And I'm here if you have any questions. And if you have questions, you can put them in the chat or you can unmute yourself. I also want to mention those of you that have missed assignments, definitely you want to make sure that you're completing the last few weeks of your assignments because there's only a few more opportunities to try and bump your grade up. And if we look at the course syllabus, which you should be checking on a weekly or daily basis, we're in week 12. So we have discussion this week, 2 more discussions after that, 1 more quiz, and the student educational plan. And again, the student educational plan is building up from today's discussion and then the next 2 class times. So you have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more assignments in the next 3 weeks. If at any point you have questions, please reach out to me. And I'm happy to meet one-on-one with you as well for office hours. Does anyone have any questions before we're done for the day on your assignments for this week? All right, you guys can go. If you don't have questions, reach out to me if you have questions throughout the week. And I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next Tuesday.